I was rinsing my coffee mug when my phone buzzed. Dad. I hadn't spoken to him in months, not since our last argument about money. I hesitated, then answered. Hey, kiddo, his voice came through, casual, almost cheerful. What's up? I asked, already bracing myself. Listen, I needed to take care of a few things, so I had to use the college fund, he said, like he was mentioning the weather. The room spun. What? Don't freak out, Em, it's just money, he chuckled. You're smart. You'll figure it out. I gripped the edge of the counter. My entire savings, money I'd earned from scholarships, tutoring, and waitressing, was gone. How much is left? I forced my voice to stay steady. A pause. Then, as if he were discussing a grocery list, he said, Left? Nothing, sweetheart. Nothing. I felt my stomach tighten, $42,000 wiped out. Dad, that was my future. Relax, kiddo. College is overrated anyway. Maybe this is a sign to take a break. A break. He meant dropping out. Besides, he added, I had some debts. And you wouldn't want your old man in trouble, right? I swallowed hard. He didn't even feel guilty. Then, as if this was just another casual chat, he said, Anyway, I gotta run. Meeting some friends for drinks. We'll talk soon. He hung up. I stood frozen, phone still in my hand. My father had stolen my future, and I was the only one who could take it back. I stood there for a long time, my dad's words still ringing in my ears. The college fund was gone. I forced myself to move, grabbing my laptop and logging into my bank account. The numbers stared back at me. $0. I clicked through the transaction history, my stomach twisting with each withdrawal. The pattern was obvious. Over the past few months, he had drained the account in small increments, just enough to avoid raising red flags. Rent payments, bar tabs, online shopping, a down payment on a new truck. I clenched my fists. He hadn't just stolen my money, he had wasted it. A notification popped up. An overdraft fee. He had taken so much that the account had gone negative. I felt my throat tighten, but I refused to cry. I grabbed my phone and texted him. Me, what exactly did you spend my money on? Dad, geez, Emily, don't be so dramatic. It wasn't just yours. My name was on the account too. Me, you had no right. Dad, relax. I'll pay you back. Someday. Someday. I took a deep breath, then pulled up my notes app and started a list. 1. Gather evidence. Bank statements. Transaction records. Text messages. 2. Look into financial aid options, scholarships, emergency loans. 3. Talk to someone who could help. I wasn't just going to figure something out. I was going to make this right. I wasn't going to let this go. I spent the next few hours collecting everything. Bank statements, text messages, email records. Every withdrawal, every careless excuse my dad had given me. Then, I made a list of my next steps. First, I needed to see what financial aid options were available. I booked an appointment with my university's financial aid office for the next morning. Second, I needed legal advice. I wasn't sure if I had any real options, but I knew someone who might. My Aunt Lisa. She was a lawyer, and if anyone could tell me where I stood, it was her. Lastly, I needed to tell the one person my father actually feared. Grandma Margaret. That evening, I called her. Emily, sweetheart, how's school? She answered, cheerful as always. I took a deep breath. Grandma, I need to tell you something about Dad. I walked her through everything. The missing money, the lies, the way he brushed it off like it was nothing. She was silent for a long moment. Then, in a voice colder than I'd ever heard from her, she said, That man has crossed the line for the last time. The next day, she called a family meeting. Without him. If my dad thought he could get away with this, he was about to learn how wrong he was. I arrived at Grandma Margaret's house that evening, my stomach twisting in knots. Everyone was already there. My mom, my Aunt Lisa, my Uncle David, and even my cousin Jake. The only person missing? My dad. Grandma wasted no time. Emily, tell them what you told me. So I did. Every detail, how he drained my college fund, how he dismissed it like it was nothing, how he told me to just figure it out. By the time I finished, my mom's hands were trembling. He told me you decided to take a break from school. I let out a bitter laugh. Of course he did. My Uncle David shook his head. That man never changes. I lent him money last year, haven't seen a dime back. My Aunt Lisa leaned forward. Legally, this is tricky. His name was on the account, but if we can prove he misrepresented the purpose of the money, we might have a case. I pulled up my phone and scrolled through my dad's texts. He admitted in writing that the money was for my tuition. He also said he'd pay it back someday. Lisa's eyes lit up. That's something. Grandma nodded firmly. First things first. He needs to know we're all aware of what he's done. That night, Grandma called him, put him on speaker. Robert, she said, her voice steel, we need to talk. Silence. Then finally, Mom? Whatever Emily told you, she's blowing it out of proportion. Grandma didn't flinch. No, Robert. This time, we're not letting it slide. For the first time, my father had nowhere to hide. Grandma put the call on speaker. The room fell silent as we all listened. Mom, my dad sighed, his tone shifting into his usual charm. This is just a big misunderstanding. I clenched my jaw. Of course he was going to lie his way out of it. Grandma didn't budge. Then explain yourself. He chuckled, like this was some joke. Emily's overreacting. It's just money. She's young, she'll earn it back. My mom scoffed. $42,000, Robert, that's not pocket change. Look, he said, I had debts, okay? What was I supposed to do? Lose my house? End up on the street? Family helps family. I couldn't take it anymore. You didn't even use the money for bills, Dad. You bought a truck. You went on vacation. Don't act like this was some desperate situation. His voice sharpened. Watch your tone, Emily. Watch my tone? I snapped. You stole my future and I'm supposed to be polite? For the first time, he sounded defensive. I was going to pay you back someday. Aunt Lisa, calm as ever, spoke up. Good. Then you won't mind signing a legal repayment plan. Silence. Then he scoffed. Oh, come on. You're not actually thinking of suing your own father. Grandma's voice was cold. If that's what it takes. For the first time in his life, my dad realized he wasn't in control anymore. For the first time in my life, my dad had nothing to say. The weight of the situation was finally sinking in. Grandma didn't give him time to recover. Robert, this family has covered for you long enough. You stole from your own daughter. That ends now. He let out a nervous laugh. Come on, Mom, you're not really going to turn the whole family against me over a little money. My Uncle David scoffed. You turned the family against yourself. Aunt Lisa cut in. Legally, you might have had access to the account, but that doesn't mean you had the right to take the money. If you refuse to agree to a repayment plan, we'll take legal action. His voice dropped. I don't have that kind of money. Then you shouldn't have spent it, I shot back. Silence. Then he tried a different tactic. Emily, sweetheart, let's be reasonable. You don't want to ruin my life over this, do you? I exhaled slowly, my voice steady. You ruined your own life, Dad. I'm just making sure you deal with the consequences. When Grandma spoke again, her tone was final. You have 1 week to agree to Lisa's terms. After that, we take action. Dad let out a frustrated sigh. Fine. I'll think about it. I knew that tone. He wasn't going to do anything unless we forced him to. And I was ready to do exactly that. A week passed. No response. I wasn't surprised. My dad had always relied on people forgetting, on problems fading away if he ignored them long enough. But I wasn't backing down. Aunt Lisa drafted a formal demand letter outlining his debt, complete with the bank statements and his own text messages admitting he'd used my college fund. She sent it via certified mail, to ensure he couldn't pretend he never saw it. That same night, my phone rang. Dad. I let it go to voicemail. Seconds later, a text popped up. Dad, Emily, this is ridiculous. You're seriously gonna drag your own father through legal trouble? I didn't respond. The next day, he tried a different approach. Dad, I can't pay everything back at once. Can we work something out? I forwarded the message to Aunt Lisa. Her response was simple. He can either accept a structured repayment plan or deal with a lawsuit. The next call came from my grandma. He called me, she said, tried to make me feel bad for him, told me he's basically broke. I sighed. Did you believe him? She let out a dry laugh. Not for a second. By the end of the week, he finally gave in. Lisa sent over the legal documents, forcing him into a strict monthly repayment plan. For the first time, he had no choice but to take responsibility. And I had finally taken my future back. The first repayment came in a month later, a fraction of what he owed, but legally binding. It felt strange seeing his name on the transaction. After everything he'd done, after all his excuses, he was finally being held accountable. My life moved forward without him. My university worked with me to secure emergency funding. I picked up extra tutoring gigs and cut expenses where I could. It wasn't easy, but I made it work. By graduation, I had a job lined up with a top firm in Chicago. I did it without him. Then, out of nowhere, another text from Dad. Dad, proud of you, kiddo. You really pulled through. Guess I taught you well. I stared at the message, disgusted. He still wanted credit. I didn't respond. Months later, Grandma visited me in my new apartment. Over dinner, she mentioned that Dad had called her again, fishing for sympathy. He said he misses you, she said, watching me carefully. I took a sip of my wine and shrugged. I'm sure he does, but I don't miss him. She nodded. That's what I thought. That night, as I looked around my place, fully mine, fully earned, I realized something. He thought taking my money would keep me under his control. But in the end, his betrayal is what set me free. Lessons learned. Family isn't an excuse for betrayal. Just because someone is family doesn't mean they have the right to exploit you. Respect and trust must be earned, not demanded. 2. Financial independence is power. Learning how to manage and protect your finances is one of the most valuable skills in life. No one should have unchecked access to your money, even family. 3. People show you who they are. Believe them. My dad had a history of irresponsible financial behavior. I ignored the warning signs, thinking he wouldn't do it to me. He did. 4. Actions have consequences. My dad spent his whole life avoiding responsibility, but in the end, he had no choice but to face the damage he caused. 5. Strength comes from adversity. Losing everything forced me to become resourceful, independent, and resilient. I built my future on my own terms, free from his control. 6. You don't owe toxic people a place in your life. Just because someone is related to you doesn't mean you have to keep them in your life. Cutting ties with my father was the best decision I ever made. 7. Your success is the best revenge. In the end, the best way to prove someone wrong is to thrive despite their efforts to hold you back. My dad tried to sabotage my future, but he only made me stronger.